Silver's price has done nothing today, and that's good news. But how do we handle the situation with silver from here on out? How do we avoid a worst case scenario? Well, stay tuned in this video because I'm going to tell you how. And I'm going to show you a new silver coin that I bought today at my local coin shop. Let's explore! It's always good to look out for deals, and I'm always encouraging my viewers to develop a relationship with your local coin shop, even if you have to drive 50 miles away. And that advice has not changed, although I do think it's a good idea to look for the best deals you can find out there, and I found it at my local coin shop with a piece I'm going to show you later in the video. But if you're shopping online, just mark Summit Metals as a list of one of the dealers that you check out for the best deal. I think you might be pleasantly surprised for some of the silver products they show and sell, but also gold as well. Elevate your wealth with Summit Metals. So today, silver's price has not moved an inch, at least as of right now, moments before the markets close. It did move, it did fall earlier in the day, but it has now recaptured some momentum here in late trading. However, gold has recovered half of the losses that it took yesterday. Silver's price moved in exactly the opposite direction when you take into account gold's losses with silver's gain yesterday. There was no question we saw a massive move for silver, and that is a reason why stackers should celebrate. But today we are now seeing the gold to silver ratio inch back up to almost 100 to 1. With the momentum here. Gold has essentially regained $50.10 right now to $3,340.10. Silver is flat at $33.64, and the platinum is actually down a little bit, and palladium is up. Rhodium is moving up $50 as well today. But, it's interesting. The silver market is dynamic. And I posted a video earlier this morning. I'm going to link to it at the end screen, so stay tuned so you can check that video out as to a piece that I covered about why they are so bullish on silver reaching $100 per ounce. And I give reasons why I'm not convinced. Well, I'm going to be referencing an article here from Errol Coleman that's the exact opposite. And he thinks that the silver rally is built on sentiment alone and not substance. And I disagree with this piece as well. Silver has had a notable run over the past few weeks, tracking much of gold's upward momentum. Well, I disagree with that on its face. It has gone up, but really only yesterday did we see a movement in silver's price overtaking and well outperforming gold. We've not seen that in quite a long time. He says the reasons behind the rally differ. Gold is clearly benefiting from its role as a safe haven amid mounting political pressure, inflation anxiety, and a weakening dollar. Silver, however, is caught between being a precious metal and an industrial commodity. And to that, I fully agree. He said that's where the disconnect lies, and that he's right about that. He references a Reuters article saying that gold's surge has been driven by genuine fear and flight to safety. Silver's move, while notable, appears to be more speculative than defensive. And that says it all. While gold is being bid up as a hedge, silver is being chased, and there's a major difference. Silver's heavy uses in industrial applications like solar panels, electronics, and semiconductors ties it closely to economic output. While U.S. tariffs increasing against Mexico, China, and Canada, global trade is under stress. This puts real pressure on the demand side of silver, and investors should be factoring that in. I agree with that in principle. However, what we have been seeing, even more recently, there has been increasing demand for silver to the point where we've had multiple years of, if not more demand than there is supply. We're very close to it, and that continues to play a role. He also talks about technicals, and the relative strength index has been shifting above 70, a level historically associated with overbought conditions. Price is now approaching major resistance levels from previous failed rallies, and volume is thinning, even as price pushes higher. It's a sign of weakening conviction. The gold to silver ratio, which compares the relative value of the two metals, as we see is up close to 100 to 1 now, is unusually high and suggests that silver may be overvalued relative to gold. Well, I think it would be the opposite. Most people would say that is the opposite. Although I think that it is not that much overvalued because of what he has said previously. And we look at the ETFs and the amount of buying that's done there, but it's one of those things where the worst case scenario being played out here is going to be different for each individual, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. And so if you looking aggressively to short silver via futures, he'd be selling out of the money calls targeting strikes above this week's highs. Implied volatility is high and sentiment is stretched. This approach benefits from high option premium from the recent move and defined risk and a wide margin for error and profit in silver as silver consolidates, fades, or even stalls in current levels. It's a non-directional way to trade the expectation of cooling momentum, and he prefers that over guessing the top. And he's talking about obviously trading with futures trading or ETFs and that type of thing, margin calls and anything that's digital, not actually physically stacking the metal and buying it. And that's something that, you got to think, what's going to happen. Well, where the price is right now, it's actually moved up a cent. I was able to procure this ounce of silver. No milk spots on it that I can see. There's a thumbprint there. I need to kind of see if I can get rid of that, but I'm trying to be very, very careful with this. This is a 1 ounce. It's not very often that you see Royal Mint silver with no milk spots. But there's enough time has gone by. I don't think this is going to develop in there. So I got this for about $1 above spot from my local coin shop. Very, very nice indeed. In fact, you know what? Because it doesn't have any milk spots, which can be seen as a security feature, let's test it. Yeah, that's right. Let's test it with the pocket pinger here. And this is a very nice, inexpensive way to be able to test your silver by using the ping test and a way to do it in a non-destructive manner for your coins. This is very nice. Link to this is in the description below. But here we go. We'll put it in the center, directly in the center of the piece here. And we can see there's two ways to be able to test this. You can just flip it with your thumb, and it'll tap against this little thing here, and it'll give a slight sound. Let's do it here and see if we can make it happen here. Here we go. You can barely hear that, but let's do it this way. Silver has a distinctive ring. Indeed. So that is how you do that with the pocket pinger. Now, I'm going to put this back because I want to talk a little bit more about the worst case scenario for you and for me, and that is buying at the top and losing big time if silver plunges and stays down. And there has been some folks who have witnessed this throughout time, although usually it's not so quick that, it becomes a massive problem, but it can occur over time. And there has been some folks who have been bought when the price has gone high and it falls $2, $3, $4 per ounce and more, especially if you make a fairly large purchase. And so those are things you have to consider here when buying silver. The worst case scenario is losing when you go to sell that silver. You can ride out the volatility of the silver market, and people have done that for quite a long time. But if you sell at the wrong time and lose money on silver, that defeats the entire purpose. What is the entire purpose of stacking silver? It is to preserve your wealth. And that's really it. Stacking silver is not about making money, not a single dime. But it's also not about losing money. It's about finding that happy medium there. It's about aiming for mediocrity. That's right. When you're silver stacking, you only want to preserve your wealth. If anything more is just an added bonus. Wealth preservation takes time. It can be done utilizing dollar cost averaging. But a worst case scenario for us right now in this current market is to see it fall below resistance and stay below that. That resistance right now and that support is right around, I think, $32.50 to $33. $33 is a psychological number right now, just as was the case when it was $30 and above. I mentioned on this channel that anything above $30 is a reason to celebrate. And so far, we've stayed above that, save for that big market crash that we saw, that flash crash, when silver did the same thing and flash crashed below, for a brief amount of time, below $29 an ounce. In fact, it went below $28 before recovering those losses. We are now at a time and an inflection point with silver that anything above $33 is reason to celebrate, even with pullbacks. We may see silver fall and get hit hard tomorrow, the Friday smackdown they call it, and we could see it fall below. We could see it fall 50 cents in one day. That would still be $33.15. And if we see it close above $33 tomorrow on Friday, that is good news and reason to celebrate. So hold on to your hats, and remember, folks, the worst case scenario for you is only if you sell at a loss. So I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.